Parts of Windsor are testing positive for COVID-19 at some of the highest rates in Ontario. Now, a new push to get people vaccinated. People working at a nursing and retirement home in Essex say they are not being paid for hours they work. I'm Chris Hensing. Thanks for joining us. We start here by bringing in Nick Sirkovich. Nick, we continue to deal with some pretty hot stuff here in Windsor, Essex. What's going on here?
Yeah, no doubt about it, Chris. I feel like Groundhog Day, right? I mean, we've got the weatherman who just keeps reliving the same day over and over. Heat warnings, rather, in effect across southern Ontario, including, of course, Windsor. We've seen humidex values that have topped the 40 mark day after day. There's a look at the heat warnings once more, and temperatures in the low 30s, humidex values in the high 30s. To put this in perspective, Miami today, 31 degrees, the humidex 35, so it actually feels hotter in the Windsor area. The big picture looks like this. As we head through Friday, perhaps a little bit of relief in the forecast, but not a whole lot. We're still going to see temperatures hovering around the 30 mark, where we will see a bit of a break, though, in terms of the humidex on Friday. And then after that, we're back into the heat and humidity once more. I'm going to have more on your forecast coming up in a bit.
Thanks for this. Thanks. Appreciate the high-level look at this.
Pat.
Dozens of families in Windsor are desperate for help. They're worried about loved ones in Afghanistan as the Taliban regains control. In Kabul, scenes of chaos, terrified families asking for help. On a park bench in Windsor, Zakai Zarabi understands the pleas.
Some, they are having a Canadian status, but they don't know how to leave and to come and join their family here. And some have been activists, doctors, especially women who have been in the media, and they are in danger and they don't know.
Zarabi is a newcomer resettlement officer with the YMCA. When the crisis in Afghanistan escalated, her phone became a lifeline.
A lot of Afghans who are living in our community in Windsor, they are reaching me and asking and addressing their concerns about their family and friends. And I get every means of calls, messages, and everyone's story is different from other one. They desperately looking to help their family and friends.
An Afghan who fled the country during the Civil War in 1992, she's watched with hope as the country changed, worried with fear of what it will become.
My teenage life, I have been there, and I remember those streets and those parks were very beautiful, and people freely, and especially women, were walking there, and I was one of them. But today I see uncomparable. It's totally different. The past 20 years, especially Afghan women and girls, they were encouraged. And they were judges, they were doctors, they were community activists, they were media presenters. And you know, that 20 years of encouragement suddenly stopped, and we are going in a dark, unknown destiny for those women. It's concerning, it's grieving.
Legal Assistance Windsor has joined the efforts to help, but things are so complicated, so evolving, and programs designed to help, they aren't specific about how.
As a settlement advisor, all the time I'm providing information and referral for clients who are in need, but this time, actually, it's such a new thing, and never experienced such circumstances.
And I think that's part of the anxiety, is that what we would like to see from the federal government is a bit more information, a bit more clarity on what these programs are going to entail, who will be eligible for them, how do you contact people. Right now there is an email that you can email, but you feel like you're just emailing perhaps into the ether.
Now, to help with the confusion, a Zoom meeting is going to happen tonight. It'll be after our show, starting at 6:30. You can find a link on our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. People are also encouraged to call the YMCA, Legal Assistance of Windsor, or the Diocese of London if they need help. Now, all of this confusion, it comes as the exit window gets smaller and smaller. A government source tells CBC News Canada could have as little as 24 hours to wrap up evacuation efforts in Afghanistan. Canada has to draw down before the U.S. pulls out next week. But as Olivia Stavanovich reports, the federal government promises it will continue to help the Afghan people.
There is more than 20,000 or 30,000 people out here.
Desperation outside the Kabul airport. An Afghan contractor with the Canadian Armed Forces tries to reach the gate with his 4 kids.
It's a disaster, it's a suicide to go there.
He can't make it, even with a Canadian visa in hand.
Our Canadian Armed Forces members are working with our allies, taking every opportunity they can in trying to bring people inside.
The defense minister says the Canadian military continues to work inside and outside the wire to get people to safety before the window closes. A federal government source says that could happen within the next 24 to 48 hours.
We would have liked to have stayed beyond the 31st deadline, but as you know, that this decision has been made by the Americans.
So far, the government says more than 2,700 people have been evacuated from Afghanistan, and more than 1,000 are already in Canada. But not everyone will escape.
It's like leaving their allies in the mouth of the line.
This Afghan, whose identity we're protecting for his own safety, worked as a contractor with the Canadian Armed Forces. He tried to reach the airport, but was beaten by the Taliban.
I'm just counting my days for my death.
We promised to have their backs, and now it looks like Canada's failed.
Opposition leaders continue to slam the government.
I would never abandon people as Mr. Trudeau has.
This advocate says a lack of coordination between Western agencies is adding to the chaos.
I'm pleading with the Canadian government to not abandon these people.
But there will be people left behind. Canada, along with other G7 countries, says there will be discussions with the Taliban in the coming days about how to treat those people who still want to leave the country. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
We turn now to the latest on the 4th wave of the pandemic in Windsor, Essex. 48 new cases of COVID-19 reported today. That puts our active case over the 400 mark. A little more than 40% involve variants of concern. Right now, 13 people are hospitalized, 9 are unvaccinated, 1 is partially vaccinated. There are 2 people in the ICU, 1 unvaccinated. As cases increase, Windsor is dealing with some of the worst hotspots in all of Ontario. 3 postal codes in the city have among the highest percentage of COVID positivity for people that are tested. Dale Molnar has more now on what's being done to try and lower those averages.
A pop-up health unit vaccination clinic hit the road today in a transit Windsor bus. Health unit personnel were on hand to administer doses of the Pfizer vaccine to people in the hotspot postal code areas where vaccination levels are low and cases are higher than average.
We're picking postal codes where we can come to the people instead of the people coming to us to get vaccinated.
The 3 postal code areas of the city with the highest percentages of positive cases per people tested are N9C, N9B, and N9A. They have the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th highest weekly positivity rates in Ontario. When it comes to N9A,
less than 50% of population get double doses vaccine.
A data analyst from the University of Windsor has found that the postal code areas with the highest case rates also have low vaccination rates. Those are also areas of the city with a greater number of people in low-income groups.
One explanation is people living here are more likely to work in such as service industry, like supermarkets, transportation, or like health assistance.
They are also areas with large newcomer populations.
Probably they don't trust the vaccine for some reason, or they don't. There are some language barriers.
The health unit bus visited Wellington and University Avenue and Micmac Park at Prince Road. The manager says the response has been great.
It's our responsibility as adults to get our second vaccine and just to get vaccinated. So this generation doesn't have to, so our kids don't have to, so they don't have to live and worry, and we can just go back to being normal.
The city and county announced a lottery today for double-dose people to encourage more vaccinations.
The city and the county have come together to develop a lottery of sorts that will offer a series of prizes for all of those in our region who have been fully vaccinated.
If you're fully vaccinated, you'll be able to enter the lottery on September 1st by going to wevaxtowin.ca.
The vaccination bus will be in Leamington on Friday between 11 and 4 at 2 locations in the N8H postal code area. Those locations are yet to be confirmed. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Workers at a long-term care facility in Essex say they're not getting paid properly. Today, they protested in front of Isler Lodge. Our Jacob Barker was there.
Workers lined the sidewalk here at Isler Lodge for a large portion of the afternoon. The union says around 12 workers have been affected, though many more have come out to support. The union representative says that an issue with one worker's pay stub goes back to mid-June. Others have seen issues with their last 3 pay periods.
Right now, currently, our staff are working for free. We all work to pay our own bills, right? And currently, some of our staff aren't being able to do that. We just feel that the lack of respect for our staff members that the company has shown, not paying our staff members for some of their hours' work is extremely deplorable.
Metcalf says it isn't just hours work that are going unpaid, but it's also things like vacation pay, sick time, and that some of the personal support workers haven't been paid their pandemic pay, which dates back 18 months. The union held a meeting with management last Friday where they agreed to have the staff's pay rectified by Tuesday. And she says as of today, Wednesday, only one worker has had their pay fixed. They're calling on Rivera, the company that owns the long-term care home, to make things right.
Our managers seem confident that they're, that they are trying to be there for us, in-house here, but I'm realistically, what everybody really wants is we want action. We want our members to be paid in full.
And while for the most part it was workers that took part in this protest, some residents also came out to show their support.
They work hard. They deserve every penny. Yeah. We appreciate what they do. They're not working for free.
In a written statement today, Rivera says that the management at Isler Lodge has been working closely with representatives from CUPE to resolve payroll issues impacting employees. It says it's also resolved several issues last week, and there are a couple of remaining issues in the process of being addressed. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Essex.
CBC News has been asking viewers what the most important topics are in this election. Climate change, top of mind for many. You wanted us to ask the leaders about this. The NDP's Jagmeet Singh has been campaigning in Windsor and Essex County today. When it comes to flooding issues, the city of Windsor is looking at a $5 billion plan. They say it would help fix the problems and are looking for help from the federal government. Here's what Singh has to say.
Well, first off, I really understand that worry, and part of the reason why we're here is to support the proactive initiatives in making sure Windsor is protected against this now more and more common extreme weather. So we absolutely understand how this is something families are worried about. I think Mayor Dilkin really laid it out well when he described when people have their basements flooded or their homes flooded, often they lose really cherished heirlooms and things that the family really cares about. They often have massive damage that makes them might have to leave their home for a bit. It's very disruptive and it is very difficult to deal with, and it's becoming too common. So our commitment is we need to invest in that.
CBC Windsor wants to hear from you about the federal election. We're conducting an online survey to find out what stories, what issues matter to you the most. There's an option to let us know if you'd like to participate in a story about a particular issue as well. Just go to cbc.ca/Windsor. You can find that survey. It's in our featured stories section. Lots of action on day one of competition in the Paralympics in Tokyo, and Canada already beginning to rack up medals. CBC's Devin Haro is in Tokyo with more details on the first day of wins.
Day one complete here at the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics, and it was an outstanding start for the Canadians. 2 medals, 2 bronze medals on the opening day of competition. Keely Shaw from Mydale, Saskatchewan, winning the first medal for the country. She is competing in her first Paralympics, and she was in the C4 3,000 meter individual pursuit event, falling behind the Australian early in the race. But Shaw, she is known for her great finishes, surged across the finish line to capture bronze, her first Paralympic medal. And consider this, just 4 years ago she went to her first ever Cycling Canada national camp, and today she's on the podium on the largest athletic stage. To the Tokyo Aquatic Centre now, a magical venue for the Canadians. over the course of the Olympics, 6 medals, and it was Aurélie Rivard looking to add to her medal haul. She won 5 years ago in Rio, and she won bronze tonight in the S10 50-meter freestyle race. 6 medals now for Rivard, and she's got a lot more ahead here at the Games. We should also mention the Canadian women's wheelchair basketball team with a convincing 73-54 victory over Great Britain. They were trailing at the half. A powerful finish to the game. They're off and to a great start here at the Paralympics. Devin Haru, CBC News, Tokyo.
The Tokyo 2020 Paralympics continue tonight. Windsor athlete Mike Whitehead, part of Canada's wheelchair rugby mixed team, will take on the United States at 10:20 this evening. A near miss on the water in Port Huron across from Sarnia. A warning for that sailboat there. This freighter about to collide with it. All of this taking place on the St. Clair River Sunday. Luckily, the sailboat was able to make it out of the way, but you can see just in time. No one injured during the close call. Windsor's harbor master, a couple tips for those who are out on the water.
The message is stay away from the freighters. Be aware of what's around you at all times. Again, if you're out fishing on a nice quiet day, take the earpiece out of your ear so you could hear a vessel coming to you. Ships move very quietly in the water. You don't know what's there. And if your earpiece is out, you've got the opportunity to hear the thumping of a ship before it gets to you. Again, they have very little time to get to you. Your chances of survival when you're hit by a ship, very, very low. So get out of the way, be aware, enjoy your day, and let's not play chicken with a big freighter anymore.
LaSalle's Luke Wilson has decided to retire from the NFL. Wilson posting this after signing with the Seattle Seahawks yesterday. He's decided to walk away from football. Now he's citing health issues and numerous days in the hospital during the offseason. He says it's time to start a new chapter in his life. He also thanked his hometown, along with Windsor, Essex, for all the opportunities that this area has given him. We take a live look outside there as we see the Ambassador Bridge on a hot day, and we will bring Nick back to see what else is in this forecast after the break. Watching tugboats has got to be one of the best parts about being in Windsor. Very glad that I'm not alone in this, and it's always interesting when there's a special one popping through. Here's photos of Theodore 2 out of the city marina. We spotted him on the Detroit River chugging along, and apparently we were not the only ones interested in this as we take a peek at this big guy out on the water. Joining us now, Nick. Nick, if it's hot outside, at least we got some cool characters that are kicking around on the water, eh?
I know, yeah, no kidding. I know my son would love to see that.
Oh, I can imagine, eh?
Yeah.
Doing a Great Lakes tour, so I imagine that it pops up and through. You just got to pay attention. You Google it, you'll find it.
Yeah, you know what? I think the biggest complaint from him would be not being able to get on and stay on. Exactly. Yeah, listen, if you have any chance to get out on the water today, or actually even the next little while, take it. It's going to be hot, and there isn't a whole lot of relief in the forecast. Now, I mentioned earlier on, just for comparison, Miami in the last hour, temperatures at 31, humidex of 35. It actually feels hotter in Windsor and in most of southern Ontario than it does in much of Florida. Right now we're sitting at 28 degrees in Windsor. Sometimes you'll see these numbers fluctuate just because of the direction of the winds, but that's what we're looking at right now. With the humidex, though, still at 39, though. That is the humidex value for this point. We've got the heat warnings that are in effect across southern Ontario, including, of course, Windsor as well. In terms of precipitation now, you know, I have to say, yesterday I expected that these thunderstorms down in Michigan would actually dissipate, but as they pushed along, they ended up triggering off new cells down around Windsor and southwestern Ontario, and so we did get them. That one is on me, and I apologize for that. But tonight we've got generally clearing sky cover here. So partly cloudy skies for the evening hours tonight. Still looking at some scattered showers here. And there is instability in the air, but it doesn't look like we've got the trigger for it tonight. Now, for tomorrow, still the risk of some isolated thunderstorms again. They kind of show up, and most of them are going to happen along the lake breeze front, just sort of parallel to the shores of Lake Erie. So we still have a chance of seeing thunderstorms tomorrow. They kind of taper off, and then into Friday, better chance of seeing them down in the Windsor area. Still scattered in nature, but better chance of seeing them down in the Windsor area for Friday. So the forecast for tonight, 21 degrees there. Again, some tapering scattered showers, 22. Humidex values through the overnight about 29. Tomorrow, isolated showers in the forecast, highs to 32 degrees. And again, mind you, those icons make it look like it's going to be an all-day wash. It's not, but isolated showers there. The best I can give you for relief is Friday at 30. The humidex drops a little bit, but generally speaking, Chris, we're still looking at hot, humid conditions for like the next 5 days onward. It's actually probably Tuesday where we get a bit more relief.
Okay. Lots of water.
Yeah.
Thanks for this, Nick.
You bet.
Now, coming up, we show you something yummy out of the Yukon. An Indigenous grandmother has a proven recipe for success, selling her homemade bannock around the Yukon for the past 5 years. Now the big leagues in sales have come calling. She's taking her food to the world's biggest online marketplace. CBC's Gordon Lovren has a story.
They say Teresa Ward's bannock is one of the best. Now it's a cash generator. And with Amazon on board, millions from around the world will be able to eat a Yukon Indigenous food staple. But it had a humble beginning. An idea.
It might be something really cool, and having it in our stores in the Yukon, you know, an Indigenous food into the stores. And we've got so many cultural foods in the stores, but no First Nations foods.
So she created a brown paper bag version of her bannock and peddled it to stores throughout the Yukon. Then she joined a startup boot camp offered by Yukon Struck. 3 months later, with help from a local marketing and branding company, she caught the eye of Amazon.
Having a sales agent that works with me through Amazon is really going to be helpful for me, because it's so big that it's really hard to even know what to do on there.
Bannock has been an Indigenous staple ever since flour, salt, sugar, and baking powder were introduced by incoming miners looking for gold. Telling the story of it and Teresa Ward fell to another startup company, Shikap Media. Filmmaker Nishka Pajor says both parties knew how important the story is behind the product.
It's awesome to see people starting business in the Yukon and being successful. Each story is different. Every story is different. Every story is pretty much amazing. They start small, they start in their kitchens, they start in their homes, and then they explode.
As part of the marketing, Yukon Bannock is made by Grandma Teresa. It's a nickname she had since childhood growing up in Carcross. She says her success is a product of many Yukon companies working together, and she's thankful for that. However, she also says success has to come from within.
It's really all about you. If you want to do it, you can do it.
Gordon Lovren, CBC News, Whitehorse.
We got a bit of breaking news here as we end the show tonight. A government source confirms to CBC News that the last Canadian-operated flight out of the Kabul airport expected to leave on Thursday. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had said today that the efforts to airlift those fleeing Afghanistan out of Kabul will end in the coming days. Now, earlier today, another source with the government said that Canada could have just 24 to 48 hours to get planes in and out of the capital. We'll keep an eye on this situation. We have more on our website as well, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's it for us tonight. The Rick Mercer Report's up next. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening.